Ours from ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to this webinar on ESS BIZGrants, the new product which we've developed in conjunction with Real Advantage, our computer consultant. There's a large number of federal and state government grants in Australia, and various reports indicate that about $5 billion annually is paid to businesses, both large, small, not-for-profits, charities. Many of these grants are targeted at small businesses. How many of them are your clients assessing? Is this an area where you could offer an additional service to assist clients? That's the reason ESS BIZGrants has been developed. We believe it will assist you to identify the grants that best suit a particular client, to help them get access to some government programs. And indirectly, we anticipate that many of you will be able to benefit from being the recipient of some of the government money by being able to offer professional services in the preparation of business plans, market research, assistance on business reorganisations, corporate governance, and a whole range of other activities that are funded under the various government programs. So we see this as a win-win for both your clients, the small medium enterprises, in assisting them to identify government grants for which they might be eligible, but also as part of the development of business advisory services within your accountancy businesses, that there will be some of the services that, if you wish, you'll be able to supply to your clients. If you don't wish to supply them, then you will be able to influence with your clients which consultants they go to have the work prepared. And bear in mind, of course, that in most of these grants the client is paying somewhere between 20 and 50% of the costs. So the client obviously needs to make sure that they really do get value for money. So the approach that we've used in ESS BIZGrants is to look at the business structure, number of employees, turnover range, location, industry classifications and particular interest activities. All of this information is of paramount concern in trying to prepare a list of potential grants, and then we're going to go into a further process which enables those potential grants suitable for that client to be slimmed down to actual grants that we believe that you could apply for on behalf of your client. So what we have included is a finder questionnaire for each government grant and assistance program to ask some questions so that you're able to clearly identify in your mind that the grant is applicable. And some of these grants have got very definite events or locations or activities that have to be followed if an application is going to be successful. For argument's sake, there are a number of disaster grants around Australia for both small businesses and primary producers, which rely first of all on a disaster event having occurred. Secondly, that the business or primary production activity is located within that declared disaster area. Thirdly, that the business is an ongoing type of business, that the owner intends to continue to operate post the disaster. So there are some fairly strict steps that you have to go through, and we've summarise these in the supplementary questions for you to answer to try to deem eligibility. There's a remote activity business grant under the Enterprise Connect program that can be of benefit not only for businesses in the declared remote locations, and about 95% of Australia landmass is in the remote locations, but it can also apply to businesses who are not in the remote locations, who are supplying more than 50% of their business activities to businesses or consumers located in a remote location. So some of these things get a bit complicated, and hopefully ESS BIZGrants is going to assist you in being able to identify those grants that might benefit your clients. At the end of this process, which will be an individual one for each client, you can link to a detailed paper which ESS BIZTOOLS has prepared on that government grant, and in most of the grants to a supplementary checklist if you want further background information on the grant. And once the system has narrowed down which grants that your client might be potentially eligible for, the system will then link you to the relevant state or federal government department's website, so that you go to the URL that will then contain the government's actual application form. The reason we haven't included the government application form within ESS BIZGrants is that governments do have a tendency to change these application forms without giving much notice about the change. So we think by going to their site, where you are always going to get the most recent application form. And the other big problem we've got in a product like this is that whilst governments release new grants with great fanfare and promotion and media exposure, they have a habit of withdrawing grants when they've decided to withdraw them with virtually no publicity, definitely no fanfare. They just disappear. So by going to the government's website, if for some reason the grant has been discontinued, it will be very obvious and you won't be spending any more time. Now hopefully we're going to pick that up through our due diligence, but if you do come across grants that are no longer applicable, we would appreciate that you send us an email and tell us so we can make sure we delete it from this system. So obviously this system is going to be a very much an alive system. We're going to be adding new grants virtually every week, but there will also be grants that have been withdrawn, maybe not as regularly as weekly, but they'll be going out of the system as soon as we are notified by the particular government agency that that grant no longer exists. So what are some of the grants that we've covered? Our aim is to have all of the grants in Australia that apply to small medium enterprises. So we have not included any grants for not-for-profits, charities, or basically for turnovers over $100 million, because that's the bigger end of town. We're concentrating on the SME market, and there are further grants to go into the system, and we'll be doing those as we come across them. The big grants that apply for Australian small businesses, obviously the biggest is research and development. We have, in fact, a number of different components of research and development in this system at present. The first one is research and development until the 30th of April 2012, and that is for research and development expenditure that has been incurred up to the 30th of June 2011. As you know, you have under the 30th of June 2012 to register with Oz Industries for expenditure in the last fiscal year. We'll be removing the details about research and development as it applied up to the 30th of June 2011 on the 30th of April. We've also included in the system the new research and development scheme known as R&D tax incentives, and there are two components to it. One is for businesses with turnovers under $20 million, and the other is for businesses with turnovers over $20 million. And as you're aware, there's some differences then in the actual tax rebate and how that rebate is paid depending on the client's turnover. The other big grants there, of course, are Commercialisation Australia. It has 4 grants. It's handing out about $80 million a year in Australia. Their flagship program, Commercialisation of Early Stage Technology, had some changes made to it in mid-November. It is no longer a repayable grant, so a grant of up to $2 million can be sought by a small business as long as they've got the ability to match that $2 million on a dollar-for-dollar basis. But the important thing now is that grant is not repayable. At the very beginning end of a business, though, Commercialisation Australia have a very good product called Skills and Knowledge, and it's to assist businesses to prepare business plans, market research, intellectual property audits, starting to get themselves ready to become investment ready. Enterprise Connect is an Australian-wide program delivered by about 80 business advisors employed by various companies contracted by the government, and it has programs for about 10 different industries. And the recent development there also in November was that the tourism industry was added, but it's a very narrowly defined tourism industry, and that will become obvious when you get into the supplementary questions. There's products like TradeX, Farm Management Deposit Schemes, Australian Technology Showcase, and many others. So what we're going to do now is move into the ESS BIZGrants website, and we're going to actually insert some data in a moment. So what you have there at present is the entry, and we are going to now insert some client profiles just to show you how this will work. So the profile on this first business we're going to do, it's going to be called Darwin Enterprises number 3 Proprietary Limited. Oh, sorry, it shouldn't be proprietary limited. I just realised in my notes it's a partnership. I read that wrong. So the structure, it's a partnership. The next question asks, does it export? It does, so yes. Does it import? No. It's got 2 employees. It's registered for the Australian business number. It's been in business for 4 years. It's located in the Northern Territory in Darwin with a postcode of 0800. Has an annual turnover of 400,000. Has an annual expenditure of 210,000. Now, let me make a comment on annual expenditure. That figure really is there to make the system work for some of the programs which talk about turnover or expenditure. I wouldn't be trying to balance that to the final dollar. A good estimate will do. All you're trying to do at this stage is locate whether some of these programs are applicable. But in some of the programs, you may have a company that spent $1 million in expenditure and had only $100,000 in revenue. They can still be eligible for the program on expenditure and or income. So that's the reason we've got expenditure listed. It doesn't apply to too many programs, but it applies to enough to make us put that in there. GST registered, yes, this business is registered for GST. Is it tax exempt? No. Is it doing research and development expenditure? Yes. Are there any financial concerns? No. And it's So we're now going to go and list it in its industry, and it's in the, so we have to go to the business and industry profile, and it's in the manufacturing industry. So having put the data in to that client, and that didn't take too long, you can then hit the search button. And what it is going to tell us now is the 7 grants which potentially match this business profile. The emphasis is on the word potentially at this stage. So if we go through these, so what we're saying there, to finalise your search, we have to click on each individual grant and answer further questions, which is going to try to narrow it down. So if we click on Export Market Development Grant, it has taken us to some supplementary questions, which are called the additional criteria. Now at this stage where it's saying that this is pending confirmation, so we'll go through and look at the questions. Have you spent money to seek out, create, demand for, or develop an export market for your product or service? Well, we'd answer that yes. If you are claiming overseas representatives or marketing consultants' expenses, have you maintained documentary evidence that shows that the role and function of the representative or consultant? Well, we say yes to that. If you are claiming expenses under the marketing visits categories, have you maintained full records and cost summaries for the trips? Answer yes. Hopefully you can see what's happening here. These are the questions that the application form is going to require your client to be able to have answered. If you have claimed 2 export development grants in prior years, have you discussed with Austrade the export performance tests for grant determination? If not, it is suggested you contact Austrade. So we'll hit yes again for that one. Will the business spend more than $20,000? That's the minimum for export market development expenditure in 2010-11, not including expenses. Now, New Zealand, North Korea and Iran don't count for export market development grant. The New Zealanders don't like that, being lumped in together with North Korea and Iran. Our apologies for that, but the government treats New Zealand as our first cousin, so they don't count. And for a first-time applicant, you've got 2 years to build up your $20,000 worth of expenditure. So if we answer yes to that, we're going to spend the money. And the last question is the business has to be the principal for the export transaction, so it can't be an agent that's claiming export market development. If we answer yes to that, so we've answered yes to all the questions. If we hit return to list, it is now showing us that that application is eligible. Not saying you're going to get it, but you're eligible to proceed with an application. So if we move down to the next one, and this business is in the Northern Territory, and what we've identified here, that there are a number of Northern Territory grants that the business is able to claim. So is the business a mature Northern Territory operated business? We'll answer yes. Is the business profitable? Yes. Has the business identified people management issues that they would like professional consultants to review? So we might answer no to that, just so you can see what happens. It's now telling you that that particular grant is going to be ineligible. So we return to the list, and we now see that on the territory business growth, it is indicated that they're ineligible for that grant. The next one is another territory business. So we'll go to there and answer yes to the first question. It's profitable, so we'll answer yes to the second question. And the third one is asking, do they want some improvements in some business management strategies? So we'll answer yes for that. And does the business possess the resources to implement? Now, presumably the business has got that. They've got people who can do that work, so answer yes. And is the business prepared to dedicate the required time? We'll answer yes, because that's another key question that a lot of these government agencies want you to answer. Now the form is now saying that this client is eligible, so we'll return to the main list, and back here it's telling us that you'd be eligible for that particular grant. And obviously on this grant list sheet there is a brief summary of what these various grants are all about. We move on to the next one. If we go to that, thanks. So territory support, we've got to answer yes to the first two because we've answered that on the other ones for these. But just to get it working, we might say no to that question there. That's telling us we've got to go back, so we'll return because we can't go any further. The rest of the questions are left there if you want to have a look to see what your client might have to do so they could qualify for that grant. So we've had a great debate as to whether we should have allowed a user to see the rest of the questions. You can look at them because it might help you in planning with the client how they in fact might make themselves eligible for a particular grant. Where are we? The next one, number 5. Well, again, it's the same two questions, yes. The first two, yes, yes, and we might answer no again so we can keep on going and return to the list. The next one is a technology transfer program, so if we go in and have a look at that, this might be an area the company's wanting to do some work in, so we'll answer yes to the first question. They're in business in the Northern Territory. They're quite parochial up there. Is the business profitable? Yes. Has the business identified that it's got some technology issues? Yes. Does the business possess the resources to implement their outcomes? Yes. And is it dedicated to supplying the people and the time? So all those are yes, so we're saying this one should be eligible. We go back to the main list, which has now identified that program as eligible. Now the next one that's coming up is apprenticeship, so we'll go on to that, thanks. And the we've got the response that they potentially might be able to engage an apprentice and get government grant money for that, primarily because they already have 2 employees. So is the business proposing to engage a worker as an apprentice? Let's answer yes. Has the existing worker been employed by the business for more than 3 months? So you have to answer yes or no to that. If we answer yes, it's going to tell us where that's right. Yeah, we're okay. Was the existing worker engaged under the new employee undertaking an apprenticeship skill base? So we answer yes to that. Now that's an ineligible answer. You can't engage apprentices if they've already been there with you previously, so we return to the list now. Okay, so what if we just move up to the top of this summary? What we have there now is a list of the grants that are marked in green eligible. They're the ones that we would be suggesting now that you do some further reading on if you wish. We have the ESS BIZTOOLS papers for those grants, which we've called the Grant Toolkit. You can go to those, and if you wish to get some information on a particular paper that's mentioned there, you just click onto it. That is a paper out of ESS BIZTOOLS, and if we just go through that, you can read that and decide whether you want to look at that to get some background information. The paper is linked back to ESS BIZTOOLS system. So if we click on that, 15030, what that's going to do is to take you into the ESS BIZTOOLS system, where you can, if you're not a subscriber to ESS BIZTOOLS, you can read the executive summary on that particular paper, which is on Austrade. And then we'll go back to the system. We've gone back too far there. We'll just get that sorted out. What we will then do is, when we're back in the on the website, which we're now in, we'll go back into those grants where we've identified the ones that are eligible, and if we click on the ones that are eligible now, it will bring up the ability for us to go to the apply now, which would take us to the government website, and so that you can read further information and details of application forms, etc., which will be there. So that is basically how the system operates. So I think we'll go back to our PowerPoints now. So we're now back on just our PowerPoint slides. So that is how the system operates. Obviously, that case study took a little while to go through then, and once you are experienced within your firms, we believe that you'll be able to process that data a lot quicker. We have designed a form which will help you within the firm to identify clients that you believe could be suitable for government grants. But our recommendation to get the process started is that when you undertake a final review on a client, for their accounts for the year ended 30th of June 2011, that you would sit down and discuss with them those grants that have been identified that they are potentially eligible for, so that the client could then give you the okay to proceed with completing the application and lodging it with the relevant government authority. So hopefully that form will help, and we're going to include that within the Business Advisory Services modules within ESS BIZTOOLS. We are still finalising the arrangements with the bank, our bank, for bank protocols. That seems to have taken a little bit longer than what we had thought, and that has meant that we're unable to take subscriptions at this stage. We envisage that our subscriptions for ESS BIZGrants will commence on Thursday the 2nd of February. That's a bit over 2 weeks time, and that stage you will be able to directly log on and subscribe, and the system with a link through our bank for payment will be operational, and that will then be able to give you the passwords and usernames. There will be a password and username for allocated to each individual accounting firm subscriber. Now, to become an ESS BIZGrants subscriber, if you are an ESS BIZTOOLS Gold subscriber, you'll get free access to ESS BIZGrants. Other firms are invited to become subscribers either in addition to their current ESS BIZTOOLS subscription, a silver or bronze subscription, in addition to that, or accountants can subscribe direct just to ESS BIZGrants. The subscription fee for the first year is what's on the screen there, $990 including GST for the first 12 months, or $95 per month including GST. So thank you very much for participating today in our review. If you have any questions, I should have asked you that at the beginning. If you had any questions, to raise your arm on the system and send us through the question. None have come through at this stage, so if you have any that you think about later on today, please send us a email. We'll be contacting each of you who have participated in this webinar today a couple of days before the 2nd of February, just reminding you that subscriptions are now open, and we look forward to you joining us in as subscribers to this venture, because we believe that it will offer a very worthwhile service to accountants in Australia to help them to advise their clients, the SME market, on the government grants that are available for them to assist them in their businesses. Thank you very much for participating today. I should have said at the beginning, Happy New Year. I hope 2012 turns out a very good year for you and your colleagues in your firm. Thank you. Goodbye.